want to give. I Guy just put this up there. Guy Smithson just put up timeouts not called the end killed us. I actually agree with you on this, Guy, because when they were on the 1 yard line and I wish we would have stopped them, but we absolutely should have called one of those timeouts. We lost a solid 40 seconds right there at the end that we didn't have to lose.
Yeah, so, correct. That's why I said, why didn't we call that timeout? Yeah, that's what
guys,
I said.
By the way, real quick, to everybody in the chat, be respectful. I know people are frustrated. Have a little bit of like act like grown-ups. You're talking about real people. So if you're not respectful, we will time you out or block you.
Going back to the time.
Yeah, be respectful, guys.
So going back to
you can be mad at the refs, you can be frustrated, but there's some stuff in there that's just like really not okay.
Said, hey, jack off. It was 21-0. Why don't you just go ahead, Michael Ford, and take a look at it? It was 14-0, 14-7, and then 21-7. I don't know what game you were watching or what was going on, but hey, if you want to have that attitude, at least get your facts straight, bro.
Yeah.
Okay? Get your facts straight. Thanks, Michael Ford. Appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, so really. That's the kind of stuff.
I'd like to speak. Excuse me, guys. Going back to the timeout situation you brought up, Tony. The thing with the timeout is if you call that timeout on before the fourth down play, you set up a situation where you control the clock on offense. If you let them burn off 40 seconds like they did, that's exactly why I was screaming for a timeout.
That's what I said. Twice.
But the point I'm adding is that you control the clock when you're on offense.
All right, guys, we got Ricky joining us. Ricky, welcome to the show. What'd you think of our wild game tonight?
Man, guys, what a tough loss, man. Jeez. Wow. Obviously the refs. I think the biggest thing everybody wants to talk about is the refs. I think the roughing the passer thing, dude, come on. That was,
ridiculous, wasn't it?
A 250-pound guy in full momentum, and that was a tough one. And without those 7 points, I think we would have had the game.
No, that was a game. That was a game changer. You had Brock Huger.
Game changer. Whoever Brandon is. No, Brandon. Nobody's cool with the referees. I don't know what kind of fantasy world you're living in, but you can knock it off.
When you have Brock Huger, who's an ex-quarterback, who's basically saying, "I'm sorry, if that's not football." Okay, so it's not USC fans complaining, and I'm not going to complain about it. We're used to it. Yeah. But when you have the Fox broadcaster, the color guy, talking about it, both times when it happened, it's ridiculous. And to further emphasize, I think, the misguided referees, targeting called 3 times. 0 for 3 on targeting. Ridiculous. So not only did these calls have to be unnecessarily reviewed, but it stops any type of momentum, any type of flow to the game. It's on national TV, so everybody gets to see the Pac-12 clown show. It's ridiculous. and you know what? I'm tired of talking about it. I don't freaking care.
Okay.
It is what it is. It's wrong. But part of the game, we're used to it. So not only do we have to beat the Utes, the crowd, you got to beat the freaking Pac-12 refs. And I'm not joking. It's just reality. But you can't really – it is what it is. USC lost the game because it made a lot of errors. And then that just added to – what unfolded.
Yeah, I hope Addison's okay, by the way. I let's hope that
we all do. Yeah. And because he's a great guy too.
That was
CE points out, if you can't be Utah, you don't belong in the playoffs. CE, I don't know if you watched the show. None of us have ever thought we belong in the playoffs. Quite
Absolutely.
we were thankful last live. We were talking about how thankful we are to be at this point anyway. And we talked about, or you guys talked about how we this win wasn't, how UCLA kind of ruined it for us last game.
My measuring stick is looking at how the other the other guys that came in to coaching, right? Their first year coaching at their team. That's the measuring stick. And as far as I'm concerned, so far, this staff has exceeded expectations to turn around a 4-8 team.
What about Grinch?
Number 7 in the country.
A lot of people were talking about Grinch too on the chat. I saw.
You know what? People forget how bad our defense was last year. You guys, last year we lose this game 64-10 with our defense last year. I mean, I don't think this changes anything about what we've said really this is our 7th show. I don't think anything changes what we've said the whole time. those of you guys who were with us when we predicted these games, I mean, we all sort of like predicted this one when we win, hoping we'd win. But at the beginning of the season, when we talked about this, if you said right now we would be 6-1, we would have all like popped like balloons of celebration. Yeah, like exactly. He's like, yeah, we'd be like crazy.
Yeah.
How many people thought we would win this game in August? Like nobody.
Well, to be more specific,
if you say yes, you were lying.
To be more specific, we lost to the Utes at home last year, right? 42-26. We just took a very good team. See, here's the thing: the national media has been writing off the Utes since the Florida game, and then UCLA played out of their mind at home. But anybody's been watching Pac-12 football knows that the Utes are an entirely different animal at home than they are on the road. Again, this team is 22-1, now 23-1 for a reason at home. You look at our players, they had their hands on their hips. They were gassed in the second quarter. And when you're playing at altitude, there's a huge advantage for the Utes who practice and play at that altitude. So to realize that we were in that game to the very last drive, hats off to the Utes and hats off to the Trojans.
Yeah, and again, to everybody listening, we're all bummed and we're sad, and so it sounds like we're complaining, but like that was a hell of a football game.
It was.
It really was. I mean, you guys think about the football we had today, guys, with that Alabama-Tennessee game, and then this
instant classic.
And meanwhile, and we haven't even talked about the fact that Stanford went into South Bend and stunned Notre Dame in a massive showdown. This was and the TCU Oklahoma State. This was a day of football. Yeah. I'm real disappointed in us, but it was a crazy day and a crazy game.
And then, SA, to your point here, again, are you listening about the altitude? We seriously had people out there that were exhausted. It was just downhill at that point. They did have a great stop. They were at the doorstep, and Eric Gentry made a great stick to get that ball out. And again, who knows what happens if we have Gentry for that fourth quarter, losing the heart and soul. I don't know if you guys realize, but your Mike linebacker is one that's the calling the plays. He's like the quarterback of the defense, and he's out there. And when he went down, we don't just lose an incredible freak athlete out there, but we also lose the leader of our team. And so, again, sometimes you have to realize that Kincaid and Rising put on a show tonight, and you have to sometimes say, hey, this was their day, and that's what it was. They beat us.
Yeah, going for
real quick to our good friend, our great friend of the show, Roger Dodger. We love you, Roger. But yeah, Grinch is absolutely going to be back next year. We hope. He has done amazing things to our defense, working with the barest cupboard of smoke and mirrors he can to have our defense doing as well as we had. Our defense last year was appalling, like junior high bad. And we were in a position to win this game if we had one flag that had in guys' pants, we probably would have won. So let's not make silly statements about that. Our defense is way better this year than they were. That's for sure.
USC went to the game 5th in red zone defense, and that turnover that Gentry caused, plus the missed field goal, is probably only going to keep us right up there with those stops. So no, it looked like a downhill battle because it was. Again, you're going into Rice Eccles. I'm not sure what fans' expectations were on this. I showed a little bit of bravado because of the way we were playing. But again, even before the game, I was talking to these guys. I knew this was going to be a battle. Yeah, and anytime you're going to play there, that crowd, we had the crowd out of it. That's the one thing where I just shook my head. They came in strong. We got a great fast start. That huge run by Caleb. And then on the second drive, they were just throwing the ball straight down the field. Yep. It looked like we really took the air out of that stadium.
They were silent.
Then we just got ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, they were silent.
I think the problem we had is, again, I don't think we were patient. Like Rick was saying, we knew we wanted to limit their possessions, and we got away from the run game. We were running great. I don't know why we got away from the run.
And again, Ricky, you mentioned they were silent. If we had been able to keep that ball in the end zone instead of giving it back to them, it would have been 21-0, and they would have been dead silent.
Well, I think you guys mentioned it about the knockout blow. We're here, Utah. They've got the helmets going. It's Rice. Dude, it's Rice Eccles Stadium. Come on, it's like blackout, full blackout. We got to go for the knockout blow, and we didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah. So in a loss, so you're still talking. Caleb Williams threw. He was 25 of 42 for 381 and 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Who here is not going to take that stat line?
What are their rush yards?
Rush yards for Dye. Dye had 12 carries for 78 yards, and Williams had 8 for 56. And that's what I'm saying. Dye had 28 carries last game. He got 12 in this game. They brought Austin Jones in for a cup of tea. They brought Ray Leak, who had that great return, that great return actually. And unfortunately, he showed his youth on one particular play. I really love the way all season Travis Dye is in blocking and protecting
that block
Williams on those pass plays. His pass plays have been perfect.
Yeah.
The problem is you brought, you bring a young guy in. I'm not ripping on him. He's a young freshman and with very limited playing time. And he came in, he missed a block, and wham. That was one of the times we had a punt because I turned to Rick and said, that's a drive killer as soon as that happened. And sure enough, that's what happened. We ended up punting the ball.